It is. I was just kind of in a mood. Well, actually, that song kind of relates to a story I'm going to get to a little bit later. Kind of related to songwriting, something I want to talk about today. But I'm really here for the news, and 2 weeks worth of news. So I'm going to blast through everything we did because last week I was stuck in Manhattan and couldn't get away. I might tell you a little bit more about that. It was sort of fun. Anyway, it is now April 12th. We're counting down still the days to the International Guitar Camp. So of course a couple things that went up over the last couple of weeks have been updates on that. But the big thing I want to get to, again a little bit later, is talking about some things going on the forum and some songwriting ideas and stuff like that. So here to kind of rattle through some things, and then I might get back to explaining that song that I just thought about this morning as I was, something I wrote a long time ago, but well, never mind. I'll save that story. So what has been going on the site is a couple of kind of unusual things, mostly with our Fly on the Wall mini-series going on with MattF, and our other kind of mini-series with Jim Page. So we had a couple more episodes of those pop out. Matt, we're down to the last thing, and I'll probably get to this one on Monday or Tuesday of next week. Matt's report on how it went with playing Wild Horses for his wife. But we saw the dress rehearsal the morning he was here, the morning of the night he was going to go home and take his wife out to dinner and play for her. So that was kind of cool. Had another interesting fly on the wall, of course, this week. It was Ed coming in and working on Suzanne, and you know, when we go over songs that we've got lessons on, that may have been I might have even done that. No, that was done right after I shot the lesson, I think, and that's kind of why he got inspired by it. So. And then with Jim Page, we had some interesting things going on because we talked about this legendary Los Gatos musician named Billy Dean, and eventually got around to playing a song that Jim wrote about Billy and his escape from prison after his escape from the army, I think, and a few other things, and also Jim's traveling off to New York City and meeting and knowing Pat Simmons, who was kind of another local musician here at the time. So that is what's going on with Jim. We have a few more, as we get into the last few episodes of that, we play a few more tunes, at least 3 or 4 more that he plays that are all pretty cool. So that's what's coming up over the next couple of weeks too, as far as Jim is concerned. Let's see, what else did we have? Oh, a couple of student reviews. Had a little look at Riverman and Never Going Back. Speaking of Never Going Back, one of my students came in last week with a movie. He handed it to me and said, "You got to go watch this." I said, "I do? Okay." And it was Dave Grohl and his kind of documentary called Sound City. Now, Sound City is a fascinating, the story is amazing. Basically has to do with this state-of-the-art board built by Rupert Neve in the early 70s and late 60s maybe. Neil Young's album After the Gold Rush was recorded there, along with all kinds of other albums. Fleetwood Mac and Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks are kind of the central figures to the beginning of this story. So anyway, if you haven't seen Sound City, you got to check it out. It is really, really cool. And it kind of has, Dave sort of comes to the rescue eventually and buys up all the equipment, all this vintage analog equipment that sort of went as things went digital. A lot of analog stuff got just tossed. Anyway, so I encourage you to check that out. Now, the reason I brought that up was because one of the student reviews we did was on a Lindsey Buckingham tune, of course, Never Going Back Again. So, speaking of Neil Young, he was also kind of an important part in the lessons this week, or in this 2 weeks. Last week we did Unknown Legend from Harvest Moon, and this week took a look at Powderfinger and a couple different ways of doing it. Oh, I don't have that album here anymore, but I think in there I talk about a hard-to-find album of his, Chrome Dreams, that is pretty cool. Some songs that eventually saw the light of day in other incarnations and at least on other albums. So, and then classic Kingston Trio song, Scotch and Soda. Now that it was kind of interesting. neat coincidence that as that request for the chords came up on the forum, and it was the song that I'd been thinking about doing for a long time, had actually pretty well finished everything I wanted to do with it, and just hadn't shot it. And so when I saw that, I thought, you know what, a lot of times I've got maybe 10 or 12 songs in various stages of development for lessons. And sometimes they get to like 90% and I just get off on another project. As you've seen me try to do this. I keep trying to get a lesson together on this, and it just keeps never happening. Because I keep finding better ways to play it and better ways to make some nasty stretches. Anyway, I'm not really sure what the best plan is for that song yet. Okay, well anyhow. So some keep getting sidetracked and others keep getting just put on side burners, and that was one that was probably 90% done and planned and everything, and it was really just a matter of shooting it. And then so I thought, you know what, that's a great thing to like drop in right now. So anyway, it took cuts, but actually I saw a song on the recommend a lesson list today too that I might just pop out. It just came up, and it was very cool. So I think it was today, but at least recently. So sometimes I grab things, as you know, from like the latest recommendations rather than heavy votes. Now I've seen some great. This is going to relate to. I have one more thing I got to tell you before I can head off into that story. What was the other song? Oh, it was Jack Johnson, Banana Pancakes, and that's another one that's been on the list for a long time. It's at least in the top 100, and there's like 1,000 requests right there now. You know, so. Anyhow, that one just also kind of crossed my plate, but I hope everybody got a chance to listen to that and like it. It's a very cool little groove that happens in there. Okay, sorry about that little diversion. Hopefully some people know what song that is. And it goes to show, though, just with songs, matter of fact, I guess I'm ready to talk about that. Yeah, what songwriting is, that was just a chord progression. Now, I picked out a little bit of melody to it, and that's how the melody went. This is a song by Stewart. Al is just again, I think one of the greatest songwriters that has ever lived, because of how he puts things together. And it's just, too bad he's not more popular. Well, he's pretty popular among... never mind. Well, anyway, and the thing I wanted to get to about the forum, and I'll get to, this will maybe tie in with Al and everything else in a few minutes, is, I gotta keep this shorter. Okay, the collaboration of Mark's noodling in Open G. If you guys have not seen this, I was blown away when I saw what happened. With the help of a little bit of prodding and guidance from some other people, from Daryl and Michelle and Vanessa, we have now got this just unbelievable thing happening in the Busking with TG Original Compositions. And the first thing I want to do is talk. Well, I imagine everybody's seen it, because it's kind of like always at the top of the most of comments, recent comments, and things like that. And it is just, as somebody did point out, that we should feel very proud of it. I got to tell you, I'm really proud of everybody that got involved in that, and actually just everybody, even people that are not involved, because a lot of this, the support that allowed this to happen and helped, or that sort of fueled it, I guess, or what's the word I'm looking for there? It was kind of a catalyst, maybe. comes from all kinds of things, not just the handful of people that were involved with it. And Mark, first I want to compliment him, or you, if you're watching right there, buddy, on coming up with something that had really solid structure and repeated parts. It was very simple to follow this little you know, set of progressions that had like three basic parts, and then you know, as I believe Daryl pointed out, that now it'd be really easy to lay a melody over that, and a melody then kind of can inspire lyrics, and then we can get some keyboard accompaniments in there and things like that. And that is how songwriting is done. It's most songwriters start with a very simple chord progression. Let me think of a different one. There's something that inspired a great, that Al put together, phenomenal song, and they knew that they needed, there's a great interview, we haven't put this up on IGC thing yet, but put that chord progression together and said, you know what, we need Spanish guitar. And of course, who happened to be available at the time was Peter White as their keyboard player, who said, hey, I can play a little Spanish guitar. They did not know this yet at the time, and he stepped out from behind his keys on that album, on the Year of the Cat album, and added that to it, and it all kind of came together. Now, Al had the chord progression and the melody and the story kind of all together, and that's the elements, kind of the whole process of this. So what we have here with our TG collaboration is a great chord progression, or, you know, series of parts, clearly well-defined parts and well-organized in terms of how many measures long each section is and stuff like that. So it all is really logical, made it really easy for a melody to be laid over it, and then lyrics, that's kind of its own thing. Now, a lot of times when I write stuff, it's pieces that have some melody involved, some melodies that you could completely hum along with. So I'm picking out the melody there, and at the time when I put that together first, I did not have, that's Papa's guitar, by the way, I didn't have any lyrics in mind, but it's the kind of melody there that is very easy to put lyrics to. Whereas something like this, maybe not so much. It's too busy. But who knows? I mean, Al has tunes that go. This is a very tough one to sing because the lyrics go that fast. Anyway, how many words can you get out at once? Okay, wandering off in this whole songwriting thing. The end of this story is, first of all, I do want to congratulate everybody that was involved in that for just doing making me really proud. It's really cool. And I hope we see more of that kind of stuff. There are a lot of things out there. A lot of people are coming up with some great ideas, and I'd love to see these long distance collaborations. People from all different parts of the world. So that was really neat. Now, this. I gotta save this story for another day. Now it's getting too late. I will continue it next week. It basically has to do with Al and I sat down one time and I brought him about 6 or 7 songs that I'd been messing with, all of which I thought, or any of which I thought might make good instrumentals. Oh, I can't remember this one. come back to me someday. Anyway, it seemed like it had a very clear melody. It was called by any other name at the time. But sometimes when you put lyrics to a song, you'll change them. Al had a tune called Strange Girl that eventually became, and let me think. Earlier I had lyrics to it about getting your picture in red square. Anyway, never mind. Of the 6 or 7 songs I played for him, he grabbed this one. And wrote out some lyrics pretty quickly to it. I will continue this story next week, but it had to do with me, or maybe at the IGC update. That's what I'll do. Remind me next week on IGC update number 4 to tell a little bit more about my collaborating with Al, or actually Al writing lyrics to one of my songs. To make a long story short now, or at least to just give you a little more hint about it, when I wrote it, I had it titled A Thin Line. Had this theme. And what popped into Al's head was a completely different story about hearing voices at the end of his garden. So, okay, update number 4. We'll carry on with that story from Al. That is it, or maybe next week on the news if I forget about it, but I will get to more of that story. Okay, that's it for Friday, April 12th. Oh, I didn't tell you about my trip to New York. Okay, really quickly, I was going there to see my daughter play softball. And, oh man, softball in New York is really different than in California. It was cold. But we did get one day, Nani and I got to spend a day in Manhattan and got to the Dinosaur Museum, the Museum of Natural History, and the Dakota and Strawberry Fields, and then down into Greenwich Village for a little while, and met a really cool guitar guy, Matt Umanov, who has a store in Greenwich Village, coincidentally right next to the pizza place that we've been sent to, Kesty. So anyway, that was why there was no news last week, because I just couldn't haul a camera around with me. I was thinking about trying to do something in Central Park. That was just not going to happen. So anyway, I hope not to miss too many more, but there's another week coming up when I have to go visit other daughter sometime soon, and but I will have a good story about that one too. So okay, back next week. See ya.